Alright guys, today we are working on representing linear functions. This is chapter 9, lesson 2. So starting on the top section of your notes, we're only going to do this top section today. They give us a function table where they're giving us the x values right here. If you guys can see, well, these right here are your x values. And they just chose those numbers. They chose -1, 0, 1, and 2. And you could choose as big of a number as you want or as small of a number as you want. However, when you start graphing, and if you were to choose the number 200 and you plug that in, now your graph has to go over 200 intervals. So most people like to try to keep them as small as possible. Most teachers will encourage kids that they should be using like one negative number at least. So for our situation, and with you guys checking the back of the book for your answers, they are all going to have -1, 0, 1, and 2 unless the book gives you something different. So right now, with this function table, basically I want you to just come over and place the -1, if I can do this real carefully in here with this pen, it's not doing that, -1 in here, and then go ahead and solve for y. So 7 times the -1 would give us a -7, and then this will give us an ordered pair of -1, comma, -7. Then we do the next one. We take our x value here of 0, plug it into our equation, because they said this is where our x is. Right there is our x. So 7 times 0 is 0. So now I know my x value is 0, my y value here is 0, and so my ordered pair is going to be 0, comma, 0. Sorry, this marker is just not amazing. Next, we're going to plug in x, the value of 1 in. And so we already know that our x value in our ordered pair is going to be a 1. Plug this 1 in here. So 7 times 1 is 7. So y equals 7. And now you know your other ordered pair for your y value is 7. And then the last one here is an ordered pair, or the x value is 2. So we're going to plug in our 2 here. 7 times 2 is 14. Which means we just solved for this y value. So we know our x value is 2, our y value is 14, so we can write this as an ordered pair, of 2, sorry about that, comma, 14. What I'd like you guys to do is try to turn to page 393. And I'm going to do 2 examples with you, and then hopefully you'll be ready to work on some of these problems on your own. So I'm almost there. All right, so number 2 is going to be another problem that, again, it's already been set up for you. Now, if you notice, if the book, again, gives you different numbers, like these are -2, 0, 2, and 4, then go ahead and use what they give you. But in this next section, like 3, 4, 5, and 6, they didn't give you a chart, and you have to come up with your own, and that's where I want you to always use -1, 0, 1, and 2. If we were in class, I'd let you guys choose your own, and then I could figure it out. But for you guys to check your answers, the answers are going to be matched up with -1, 0, 1, and 2. So for number 2 up here, I'm going to work on that one. Again, the chart's already there. You guys can just copy the chart down in your notebooks, and then go ahead and solve this. So for the first one, I'm going to take this x value of -2 and plug it right into this. So I'm basically doing 2 times -2 minus 3, and I am going to run out of room. So 2 times -2 is -4, minus 3 is a -7. Again, I would do the same thing here. I would do 2 times 0 minus 3, which gives me an answer of a -3. 2 times, now I'm going to take this x value again, plug it in here, 2 minus 3. So 2 times 2 is 4, minus the 3 is 1. And now we're going to place this 4, this x value of 4. So 2 times 4 minus 3. And that's a 2 times 4, so that is 8 minus 3 is 5. All right, and I'm fine with you leaving it just like this for the situation. However, for number 6, we're going to try number 6, and hopefully you guys will be all set. You have a couple options. Some kids will leave it in this format and try to solve it. Some kids are going to try to rewrite it so it's y equals something. So if I were to be looking at this, let's see if I can erase a little bit now. If I were to be looking at this problem right here, how could I move this negative x to the other side? So if I were to do that, I would do a plus x, these would cancel. I'm left with y equals x plus 7. I'm going to try to show you it both ways if you would have left it this way versus if you would use this one. They both will give you the same answer, but some kids will find setting it up in this way will make it easier. Again, you're going to need to do a chart. So you have your x values and your y values. We've asked you to use -1, darker, 0, 1, and 2. And basically now I'm going to go ahead and solve this problem over and over again, each time differently. The first time I'm going to solve it with the -1, and then I'm going to solve it with the 0, then I'm going to solve it with the +1, and then I'm going to solve it with the +2. If I would use this equation, how it is, it gets a little tricky because you have to write a negative parentheses, ooh, that's bad looking, plus y equals 7. And the first x value I'm going to plug in, again, is this -1 right here. So I'm going to write in a -1. So a negative is technically what? A +1. Now I need to move this. I'm going to rewrite it because it looks so bad. +1 plus y equals 7. So I'm going to move this +1. So I'm going to write -1, cancel, and y equals 6. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to go ahead and write it right in here. That answer of y matches that -1, so I have a 6. I'm going to do a little erasing so you guys can see why I think if I set it up the other way, it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to erase this stuff here, this, and this. All right. So instead, go ahead and grab green this time. I'm going to use this. So again, how I got this was I basically just got it so that y was by itself. I moved the x over to the other side. That way, when I solve the first one, so if I were to do the exact same problem with this -1, I have y equals, I'm going to plug in my -1 in for x, plus 7. And then -1 plus 7 is 6. I personally just think it's a much easier way to solve it. And then again, I would just go ahead and plug it in there. Then I would do the next problem. Again, I'm going to use this problem here. So I'm going to use y equals, plug in my x value. So my x value is, my x value is 0. So I'm going to plug in my 0 plus 7, and y equals 7. 407, sorry. All right, go on to my next one. Y equals, and again, I'm just using this equation over and over and over again. I'm going to plug in my 1 this time. Oh, wow, I like to do that a lot. I'm going to plug in my 1 plus 7 is going to give me 8. Take and plug in my 8 here, and then I'm going to do the last one, which will give me 9. All right, and at this point now I have my 4 ordered pairs. So again, these are basically like my ordered pairs. I have -1, 6, 0, 7, 1, 8, and 2, and a very ugly 9.